Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lukewarm Hate Week here on Birds vs. Boys. We have reached week 17. Christmas is behind us. Hanukkah is currently happening, as well as Kwanzaa. So happy holidays to all of our loyal listeners and followers out there. I hope everyone is enjoying some time off of work and enjoying time with friends, family, and your football team, whether they are good or bad. And we right here in Birds vs. Boys are primed and ready for Cooper Rush versus possibly Ian Book with no CeeDee Lamb, with everything on the line for one and absolutely not actually the draft on the line for the other. How are you, Aidan?
I'm great. It's a great Christmas. It's a good enough Christmas to make you forget about this game as the NFL is trying to make us forget. We've been demoted to the 1 o'clock slot on CBS. This is a far cry from the usual Birds vs. Boys Sunday night football that we had growing up around Christmas. So it's a great time to just enjoy time with family and forget that this game exists.
Who's doing this game? Is it like Bill Cowher and Ian Eagle's son or something? I have no idea.
It might be. Ian Eagle's son's actually really good.
He is very good.
Noah Eagle, yeah, I think it's probably like Jake Marsh, who was on the Barstool producer for a while and wanted to become a broadcaster. It's probably him, and they're gonna stream it on like Kick with Aiden Ross.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna be having the Family Guy edition of this game. Running around.
I saw they did that again. But NBA version. They had Mickey Mouse drop 40 on Christmas.
They're trying everything, anything and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw too, the numbers came out for the playoff college games. It was like 14.3 million, I think, for the Texas game, 13.4 million for the Notre Dame game, and on and on. College football now has slots 1 and 2 in most popular sports in America, and it is football and then minor league football.
Correct. They did exactly the opposite of the NBA, which was invest in college as like their semi-professional, so that people would recognize names in college and then recognize them in the pros. Whereas the NBA kind of did the opposite of that and alienated college basketball, which has now backfired on them. So like two quick things go before we do Birds versus Boys on Birds versus Boys. The college, I know that those were blowouts. Don't care. Awesome. I love more meaningful football. I loved it. I'm sure we're both biased because you were watching Notre Dame and they won, and I was at the Penn State game, and the pick sixes were one of the most electric things I've ever seen since the last pick six I was live for, which was Patrick Robinson, the NFC Championship. So I thought that number one, more football is good. Don't let anybody on ESPN tell you otherwise. More football, more meaningful football, good.
Yes. I mean, also, bowl games, good. Did you not see Kent State win in 6 overtimes last night? Feed it to me.
That's like the second time this bowl season there's been crazy overtimes, right? Like South Florida or Memphis, I forget who it was, but somebody on Christmas Eve did the same thing.
I was watching Bowling Green. I think Louisiana State. Bowling Green was down 10-0. They got sacked on third down. It's 4th and 20 from the 50. I don't know if you saw this. They go to punt. All of a sudden, the punter just pulls it back and throws one of the prettiest passes I've ever seen from midfield for a touchdown on 4th and 20.
I did see that. He launched it too.
Yeah.
I also saw that Rutgers ran a tush push that was a fake. So it went through 2 people's legs instead of 1.
Yep.
Which, if we want to get into this game, we might not be able to make it into one person's hands based on who the quarterback's going to be. But I'm sure that'll be in the book later down the road for the Eagles, that there was a fake tush push that was a tush push.
No, it's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
I also saw you can go, and then I'll get you my wild stat of the day.
Okay. Well, no, mine's going to be NFL. So if yours is college, I'll let you go.
No, mine's NFL. Mine's NFL also.
Oh, good. Mine was not a wild stat. I just thought Netflix did a good job. From what I saw on Christmas Day, the broadcast was clear. The production was good. The announcing crew seemed good. Even the stage design of the halftime show seemed cool for Christmas. So I thought they did a pretty good job in their first try.
Yeah, I actually completely forgot that it was on Netflix. And I was like looking for the games. I was a boomer. I was like, must not be on yet. And then I clicked my ESPN app. I was like, oh, it's on Netflix.
Classic dad move. What channel is Netflix?
Yeah, literally. And I was like, do we even have Netflix? I don't even know. And I like clicked on the thing and I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay. And it came right up and it was clear as day. I didn't watch a second of, including the Beyonce performance. I didn't see a second of the second game just because there was a lot happening when you host a holiday.
Yeah, that was right during Christmas dinner. So I missed Beyonce. I missed most of the game. The Texans defense also missed most of the game. We saw the beginning of the first quarter, and I think if they locked Derrick Henry in that stadium by himself, he would have had less rushing yards than going up against the Texans defense.
And now all of a sudden it was like runaway. I felt like with Saquon and Josh, and now Lamar's right back in the conversation for MVP now.
He might have overtaken Josh Allen. It's a big week for Josh Allen. I think it's good though, at least for the league, that it's like the awards like this are coming down to the wire. And what's crazy with Saquon is he has an outside chance to break the rushing record and might not win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year because Jamar Chase might get the Triple Crown in receiving. So we're just having like statistically a phenomenal football season. So it's just, I think it's good.
Yep. So wild stat of the day. I don't see the entire list now. I had it and now I lost it, but
it said the Eagles only related this year. Is it Eagles Cowboys related?
No, it's just NFL and kind of could be top seed related in the AFC. It said the only teams this year to score 30 or fewer points in every single game this season. There was 6 teams, I think, and it was like the Raiders, the Colts, the Patriots, who are all like have 2 wins, and then the Chiefs, who are 14-1.
Crazy. All of their statistics just like defy the odds. They're one play away from having like 6 losses, and instead they're 14-1. And the road to the AFC once again goes through Kansas City. Thanks for playing, everybody.
I guess we will see if Josh Allen can handle Kansas City this year. But now, moving into this game in terms of the Cowboys and the Eagles, there's still a lot on the line, but at the same time, not a ton on the line because the Eagles are, let's take the 1 seed out, right? It's done. They're pretty much locked in the 2.
Pretty much. There's like an outside chance because the Lions and Vikings do play each other. So if for some reason they lost both of those games, there is potential there for that to happen, and the Eagles won, they would be the 1 seed. I feel like the one silver lining to last week was the fact that it's just like, all right, at least in my mind, enough worrying about outside factors, just win. Your path, what seed you are, and you'll probably even know who the path would be against. Where you'll have to be, and you just need to know the time to show up there. And then you'll probably, if you win this week, not even have to worry about week 18. You get a pseudo bye week. So I was just like, last week being there, I was disappointed that we lost for all things considered because that experience was crazy. But to me, wild. I feel like I left that game. I know as much as I knew about the Eagles 2 weeks ago, I feel the same way about them now. And it's just like, all right, we're the 2 seed. So it was just selfish reasons that I wanted to win that game in Washington.
Well, and you lose your quarterback. Chauncey Gardner gets thrown out of the game. Like it felt like every other play there was a penalty. It was just, and yet still, it took a miraculous drive by the 2nd overall pick to go down the field and score a touchdown to a wide receiver who my wife 8 or 9 years ago when we did a fantasy league together called him Chowder. Thought that was his last name.
Jamison Chowder?
Jamison Chowder.
Oh, Jamison Chowder was eating against the Eagles secondary after Chauncey Gardner-Johnson went out. And that's kind of why, like, going into this week, I feel the same way about them because, like I said, I was at the game flex. And the side we were on, the safeties, once Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got ejected, were having a lot of trouble substituting, knowing where they should be. It's kind of like in kindergarten when you do line leader and you're like, all right, you got to get all your kids in the same line to get back to the classroom. And there's always just like two of them who are on the slide at the playground when everyone's supposed to be in the classroom. That was the Eagles safeties on most plays, including the game-winning touchdown. On the one deep shot touchdown in the fourth quarter, they tried to sub McCollum out for Keely Ringo. The substitution, one, didn't work, and there were 12 people on the field. Two, neither of them knew what they were supposed to be doing because Keely Ringo is not a safety, and he came in for a safety. So nobody knew to pick up the wide receiver who was just streaking down the field by himself, and they scored. And it's one of those things. It's like you see the 70-yard touchdown on TV, but when you're there and you're seeing them try to figure out this substitution mid-play, and it's like, all right, this is a basic communication thing that wouldn't happen if your starting safety wasn't ejected. So when these things happen, I'm like, okay, so if they're just healthy and it's the team I know, I feel like I don't have to worry about stuff like this. Hopefully.
Yep. And that's a big reason of these next two games. Obviously, for your sake and the Eagles' sake, you want to lock up the division, but at the same time, you want to stay as healthy as possible. Can Kenny Pickett go out and outduel Cooper Rush's at home Sunday? Yes, he can. Sure. So if you're without Jalen Hurts, it's okay.
Yeah, and listen, again, we've hyped up some big Birds versus Boys weeks. This is not. It's kind of hard to sell Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush in the 1 o'clock slot. It's tough, but I do think both of them do good things, and they're both like classic backup quarterbacks in the sake they're not good enough to win somebody a game, but they are good enough to not lose you a game.
Yep. I think like in the era of Mike McCarthy, I think they're like 7-2 now when Cooper Rush starts.
It's crazy because I feel like it follows the same cycle, and maybe the Eagles are on the same cycle as the last time Jalen Hurts got hurt. But for the Cowboys, they're in that cycle of like they get he comes in, it's like the raw factor of Dax not being there for the season. Everyone's demoralized. They get blown out twice. Everyone's like, well, this sucks. This is a wash of a year. No shot. And then they start playing well with Cooper Rush, and he builds and builds and builds. And then they're like somewhat good, but it's too late because they've already lost enough that they're eliminated, and they're eliminated now. We're going to have to talk to Micah about how these sequences work. Sometimes you got to put the rivalries aside because that doesn't make sense. So now like they're playing well and it doesn't matter.
Nope. That's the defense is playing at the best level it's played all year. And this can kind of go, I think, also to what I said last week of like Mike Zimmer finally knows his pieces, right? Micah Parsons came back. They became I think they lead the league in sacks since he came back. Carl Lawson's been playing really well too. Mozzie Smith has stepped it up besides last week. So the defense has been playing really well, and that bodes to tell me that Mike Zimmer is going to be back with Mike McCarthy next year.
They will both. The whole coaching staff is coming back, and the quick.
Now, I think there needs to be changes.
Cowboys fans accept that. You're good.
I have mentally accepted that Mike will be back. But there needs to be changes. Like there needs to be an actual offensive coordinator hired and let Mike go back to being CEO, head coach, and not calling plays anymore.
Yes, you need a coach who doesn't call the plays and then argues with your former tight end who's now on the opposing team after the game. That is what head coaches in the NFL should be doing, not calling the plays.
And speaking of trying to sell this game, not well. Number 88, CeeDee Lamb, shut down for the year, will not also be participating in this game. I got to give a shout out to CeeDee. I mean, he's been so hurt this year. The shoulder has been so bad, and he has completely balled out. I think he's 5th or 6th in the league in yards. He's like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, right? He balled out with Cooper Rush when he was a rookie. When I don't know if you remember that Halloween game against the Vikings, and they went into Minnesota, and he had that like crazy catch for a touchdown going sideways. So CeeDee Lamb is just a baller. In this, I think it also shows now So many people talked about him, and it's all about the money and the holdout, and he doesn't care about football. And there was such bullshit being talked these last couple weeks with the way that he's played with that hurt shoulder in a season that doesn't matter shows you that football means everything to him and that he is just a dog. And I am happy that they shut him down, keep him safe from himself, basically, from going out there and balling out in games that don't matter. Get healthy for next year, and let's see what we can do. But 88 done for the year.
I've been telling when we do those fantasy football streams, I'll tell people because they'll question, should I start CeeDee with Cooper Rush? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like they don't have anybody else to throw to. He's going to get targets. He's going to get open. So it's just a matter of getting him the ball, which they do every single time. I think it's huge this week for the Eagles because it is a situation where both teams are outmanned and outgunned. It's like, okay, who has enough bullets left in the chamber to make this work? And I think with CeeDee Lamb out, it really helps because the Eagles situation, you saw it last week. They stacked the box by the end with 9 people. And they were just like, yeah, try. Like, we'll try to win this game with Saquon. We will not let you. It's looking like Kenny Pickett's going to play. If he didn't and Tanner McKee played, I think it would be like even more. Like, we could tape it on our helmet that we're going to run it with Saquon. And in situations like that, it's like an all hands on deck last, like the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean when they run out of cannonballs and they're literally like shooting like forks and knives out of the side of the ship because they're just trying to find whatever they have. That's where these teams are at. So CeeDee Lamb being out is huge for the Eagles. I keep waiting for the first Quinyon interception. My boy, they massacred my boy. He got double moved by Terry McLaurin last week.
That was bad.
I was so sad. I saw it happen in real time, and I was like, no, I literally was like Cedric Diggory's dad when he comes back from the forest and he's dead. That's how I was watching Quinyon Mitchell get cooked by Terry McLaurin. I was like, no, my boy.
Just think of it as a learning experience heading into the playoffs.
Sure. I got shirts to sell.
Yeah, true. That is true. I think on top of running Saquon almost into the ground in this game, I would run 15 to 17 AJ Brown slants in this game.
I would too.
Just like who's covering him? Like Diggs is out. I know Bland will probably be on him. Jordan Lewis has been playing phenomenal, but he's small. He's not he'll be more on Devonta. I'm just all day. Just first, every time they run it, it's like 13 to 18 yards. I don't understand.
I totally agree. And I do think Kenny Pickett, I said this when I did the stream, like after the show, but when you're a guy who's like at a party and you don't know anybody except for one person, you kind of cling to that person. That's what a backup quarterback should do. Like cling to the person you know, and it's the best wide receiver. So he immediately came in, and his first 3 targets were to AJ Brown. One of those was for a touchdown. It's like, yeah, that's what you should do if you're the backup quarterback. So I think you'll see a lot of that, him just peppering these, like, just get it to AJ and hope for the best. Even those deep shots, like it didn't work, but there was the rare 3 flagger pass interference on 2 occasions where they got Marshawn Lattimore. So that was very funny. I do think Cowboys wise, the one thing with Kenny Pickett is he throws with anticipation, and he's pretty good at that. But we have to think, why does he need to throw with such good anticipation to overcompensate for a lack of like arm strength and ball speed? And when that's the case, people like Deron Bland, who set a record for pick sixes last year, have increased opportunities to do so again. So I think they need to be creative and careful with how they're getting AJ Brown the ball. I agree with you. I think you're going to see a lot of just slants and be like or one-on-one shots where it's just like, my guy is better than your guy. But I do think you can get burnt a little bit with Pickett just kind of force feeding it to AJ Brown. And that leads to Devonta Smith needing a revenge game from last week.
Yes. And I think you've said this before. It seems like after a game, yes, where he dropped that ball, but it seems like after any time there is a Devonta Smith need for revenge, whether it be he just had like one catch for 12 yards or something like that happens, he comes out and has like 8 for 107 and 2 touchdowns.
Yes, and one thing that I complained about last year, there's a few things, and even in this past week, you see it in the holes, right? Like what is missing, what was missing last year that isn't this year. One of those is the game flow and game pulse that they seem to have now, and that's especially elevated with Devonta Smith, because anytime he's not part of an offense, then they're like, okay, let's get him re-emphasized. Part of that was him having an injury, but I think in this case they were getting him the ball last week and he just dropped it. So the same logic applies. It's like, all right, let's get him back involved. So I think you'll see that this week. And the other one, Jalen Hurts last year had some turnovers that were just like made you want to put your head down the garbage disposal. That's been absent so far this year. And you noticed it with Kenny Pickett. You're up double digits. You're up 2 touchdowns. Everything's going your way. You telegraph your pass and throw it straight into the numbers of a linebacker to kind of flip the field positively for the other team. That's something that's been absent. That's something that you need to avoid this week. Which in his defense, like he came in cold. He didn't prep. He didn't do anything with these guys all week. He has a better chance this week of knowing and having a full week of preparation. That's the case always with backup quarterbacks. My
wife, when we were watching this game live, she's like, and again, for anybody who doesn't know, she's an Eagles fan. She's like, that has to be the most wild feeling ever. As like a backup quarterback, just being like, all right, get in there. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they mentally and prep as much as possible, but yeah, it's got to be. And luckily for Pickett, he's started a bunch of games in the NFL. So
yeah, and as recently as last year. Which do you think is worse, having the full week to prep and think about it, or the situation he was in where it was just like mid first quarter and you're like, all right, get in there? What do you think is more nerve wracking? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you almost don't have time to be nervous when you're just thrown in there.
That's what I was thinking. Like, do you like not have time to be nervous, or are you like, shit, like I didn't get to prepare. I don't throw these guys ever. Like I go either way.
Yeah, maybe because I think it also depends on how your prep is the week before knowing you're starting. Like if you're having bad practices, then you might get really nervous in the game right before the game starts.
And this is kind of leads to the conundrum this week. They didn't really practice because of Christmas. He also has a rib injury. So he was limited this week. So they really haven't practiced until today. We're recording on Friday. So they haven't done anything this week. And I'm sure he like is more involved and has taken reps now and knows he's starting, which is 50% of the battle. But yeah, it's I feel like it could go either way. You're either stressed because you're getting thrown in, or stressed because you had a week to prepare to be thrown in.
It's so crazy to me. I was just, and they're completely different sports, obviously, but I don't know why this popped into my head during the Notre Dame game the other night, but I was thinking about it. All right, it's a playoff game. It's an elimination game, right? And the quarterback for Indiana, who's a really good quarterback, just was off in the beginning of the game. And like you blinked and they were down 2 scores and he just was off. He just wasn't himself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, everybody has those days and those nights, right? Where you don't have it. And I was thinking about the comparison to, let's say, an elimination game in baseball, where if your starter doesn't have it, and all of a sudden you're down 3-0, you can just bring another pitcher in, right, and see if he has it. It's not like in football you're like, all right, let's bring the backup in and see if he has it tonight. Like it's it.
That is true. Baseball is so different. Like it's like, all right, he's got 40 pitches, and if command's not there, we're going to the next guy. Yeah. Football, if he throws 2 picks, you're like, all right, our season might just be over. Like there's nothing we could do.
The next guy might throw 3 picks.
Yeah, I was gonna say the next guy might throw even more. I was. There's a non-zero chance that we see Tanner McKee, and you know that Eagles fans are just like sick in the head. We care way too much about this football team because we analyzed every snap that Tanner McKee took in preseason games against the New England Patriots. And that's a level of sickness football fan wise that can only be obtained by Philadelphia Eagles fans, to know everything that Tanner McKee did in preseason games and practices and be like, hey, Tanner McKee might be the backup quarterback.
Could we have a less than 0 chance to see Trey Lance then, just for shits and giggles, please?
They could do the little razzle dazzle wildcat package with him again.
Yeah, just let him hand the ball off.
That made no sense at the time. That was the last time these two teams played.
Yep, I was on a flight back from Mexico. That was and Cooper Rush has never, he's had success as a starting quarterback, never against the Eagles. I think he's lost all of his starts against the Eagles.
I hope that continues. One of these times, we've never had success in our teams just playing each other. We started this show with this concept, and I think we cursed it. Now our franchise quarterbacks never play each other every time. And it's not like there's like they've been out every game, like they're not out for the season every year. They just always miss each other.
Yep. Like here comes Ben DiNucci.
Yeah. Ben DiNucci versus Carson Wentz. This week we got Cooper Rush, Kenny Pickett, Gardner Minshew on Christmas Eve. I was thinking of that game the other day.
That's right. Did Andy Dalton?
Andy Dalton played one time. Mm-hmm. Hurts was the backup originally.
Yep.
One of these times that these two teams played.
We should just call it the Quarterback Killer Podcast.
Yeah.
That's
Hurts versus boys versus backups.
Yeah, it's, I think, what did I see there? Are they 8-point favorites still?
I feel like it had to have changed with CeeDee Lamb. Like, I feel like the limited constraints within this offense without CeeDee versus CeeDee is at least like a field goal swing. You saw it immediately in that game against the Bucs.
How are they only at 7?
Well, I think up until like the time of recording, they didn't even know who the Eagles quarterback was going to be. There's no shot it's Jalen Hurts, it feels like at this point. And for the last few days, it was feeling like it was going to be Tanner McKee. So I feel like they were just a little worried on our side.
Yep. Speaking of availability, is Goddard going to be back for the playoffs?
He will be. He was on short-term IR, so that's actually a great question. We haven't talked about him. Grant Calcaterra has played well.
Yeah.
Going back to college football, like I said, I'm going to be on a Tyler Warren agenda like nobody's ever seen. If you thought the election commercials were annoying in November, my Tyler Warren commercials this April are going to be 10 times more annoying. I do think Goddard comes back for the playoffs, could come back this week. Maybe I think he could, but I haven't seen him like elevated from like the IR. So I'm just assuming he'll probably be back first week of the playoffs.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Good question though, because I feel like a lot of us have forgotten about him.
Yeah, literally. I mean, and he kind of remember that big play against the Saints. That was like almost like the start of the
unhook the trailer, son. Unhook the trailer.
You're like
all-time quote.
You're like, I don't think anyone's back there.
That was a great moment. They've run that play a few times. That crosser play, that was the best one though. I was like, I don't think anyone's there. They're not.
That feels like it was yesterday, and now I'm looking outside and there's snow on the ground. And I remember I was sitting outside at my in-laws' pool watching that game.
I watched that game outside, watched it in shorts, sitting outside my house. All was good. Now look, there's a if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're watching on Spotify video, thank you so much. There's a Christmas tree behind me.
Yep.
That's how far we've come.
And Christmas is over.
That was the Eagles' last loss until last week was the following week after that Saints game.
So, speaking
of Phillies played a regular season baseball game that day.
Yep, literally. Speaking of the sporting events in Philadelphia this weekend, and there's a lot going on with the arenas. Sixers now are approved to build their arena. Cowboys and Eagles will be playing at the Link. I will be in a box, Aidan, at one of the sporting arenas in Philadelphia tomorrow.
Whoa! How about this? Look at us, the Box Boys.
Mm-hmm.
That actually, that sounded better in my head than when I said it in the microphone.
I will be in a luxury suite on Saturday at the Wells Fargo Center.
Flyers?
For Disney on Ice.
Oh, Disney on Ice was going to be my second guess.
Mm-hmm. Hey, whatever. It's
you know why the Sixers want to leave? Because you're going to Disney on Ice in a suite this week, and they can't go home for a week because Disney on Ice takes priority. So the next time people complain about the Sixers and why they want to move, just remember the fact that Kevin's going to Disney on Ice instead of a Sixers game.
Mm-hmm. That is it. And I knew we were going, and I was like, we're going with like a group. And I was like, oh God. But then Lisa's like, yeah, but we're in a box. I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, okay. Let the kids just run around the box. And
That is honestly that is pretty cool. I will say this: that I had a cup when I was little of Beauty and the Beast from Disney on Ice, and I thought it was the coolest cup in the world. So this would be a great experience for the girls. I think Emma will definitely like it.
Yes,
it's not. I know it's probably not the most exciting thing as a parent, but it won't be an unexciting thing.
The only thing I'm worried about, and these things could be completely not related or completely related. We know a family that went last night. All four of them, and all four of them today have the stomach flu. So I don't know if they got
going around. It's going around. I got sick for Thanksgiving. It's happening.
Hopefully, it's not looming in the Wells Fargo Center waiting.
Tell them that, hey, you're a luxury box guy. Tell the peasants to keep all their germs down in the general seat.
Yeah, get down there. Thank you very much.
Now, wait, should I share my
yes
sweet story before we put our finishing touches on the game?
Please.
I went to the Eagles Commanders game. We had tickets. That we have a connection. I don't know if I'm allowed to like put it on the show with the Commanders front office, and they got us tickets, and we just assumed it was a nice gesture, regular tickets.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not included in this us, okay?
Me and my girlfriend have a connection. I don't know if I'm allowed to put her connection out there to the public. And we had this, so they get us tickets, and it's just, we assumed it was general tickets. The night before, they send her, this person's assistant, so you know, pretty high up, sends like a know before you go text. And it's like, thank you for coming to the game, for the friends and family of owner Josh Harris. Josh and his family are so excited for you to come and sit in the executive suites. Please wear Commanders gear and enjoy the game. And we're like, fuck.
Excuse me, what now?
We get this message. I'm at Penn State. I'm freezing my ass off at Beaver Stadium. All I did, I packed nothing but I packed leggings, thermal, cold stuff. We're in the suites. But another thing, I'm wearing a shirt that says exciting whites. And that was what I was going to wear to the game. So now I got to pivot and figure this out because we're sitting with Commanders team executives.
Yes.
And for anyone who's listened to 5 minutes of this show,
not a good idea.
The last place I should be is with Commanders executives. So we go.
Just hold on. Take Commanders off and just executives.
I shouldn't be with the Disney on Ice executives. And I felt that way. I got there, and there's a bunch of Eagles fans in the car next to me, all Eagles gear. They're wearing retro early 2000s Eagles gear that they definitely pulled out of the back of the closet, and they have just cases of Coors Light. And I'm walking past them with my coat all zip up. I have a nice coat on. I wore as nice a clothes as I possibly could for this executive suite to blend in and not look like an Eagles fan and look like I belong. And I'm walking past everybody, and I was just like, that doesn't feel right. I'm not one of the people. I'm not. I just kept saying that to myself. I'm literally muttering to myself as I walk through the parking lot. I'm like, I'm not one of the people. And it's all Eagles fans. And they're all, and then, so I'm like, you know what? I'm unzipping my coat until I get there. And I have my shirt on, and the woman I like your style. And so all these Eagles fans are stopping me, and we're talking about my exciting white shirt. My girlfriend took one look at me, and she was traumatized. She was just like, this will be a disaster. Cause I come rolling up, and I'm wearing she can see the shirt. So she's just like, no. And I was like, I know, I just wanted to walk until we got there. So she's literally doing a America's Next Top Model on me to make sure that I'm normal looking to walk into this suite. And
hilarious.
On the way, we're just talking to nonstop Eagles fans. So we at one point we thought we got there early because on the know you before you go, it says you have field access. So we were supposed to be on the field. That didn't come with our ticket. It just said it in the general thing. So we go, and we're the first people in the suite. So we're just laughing. The soda. So we're just taking videos of the suite. We're the first ones in there. We don't know what to do. The sign on the soda thing says, do not touch, owner only. So the soda machine in the suite is specifically for Josh Harris, which was so fun. And then like the first people in the suite, they go, we introduce ourselves and they go, oh yeah, I work for Josh. And I'm just like so nervous. I'm like, once a month I rant about how much I hate this guy. And now I'm just in his suite with his employees and family members.
Did he walk into was he there?
He sits in a different suite. In there's like a family and friends one, and then there's a business one. So the owner and the GM and those guys all sit in the business one. Everybody who's like related to them and friends or whatever sit in this one. So we were there, but we didn't know that. Like we assume like they're coming in any minute. Yeah. I'm like, I have to behave. So the whole game, they find like game starts, whole game, I'm covered up. By the way, it's 30 degrees outside. It's not 30 degrees in the suite. So I'm warm wearing this jacket.
Yep.
Every play, I'm just like I just like gasp. Like Saquon took off on that touchdown and I'm just like, I'm just gasping. Like, I don't know what else to do. And there'd be moments we'd catch ourselves where we'd like stand up, like something would happen with the Eagles. Like, and then we would just freeze. We were like, all right, well, we can't cheer. So we're just like popping up and standing up. It was a crazy experience.
What was the vibe in there at the end of the game?
Elation. It was weird though, because the Blankenship pick happens and people were like, all right, it's over. And I'm like, it's not over mathematically. I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. Shout out to Taylor Swift. I knew that they had enough time. And after the Devonta Smith drop, I was like, well, this is just the Atlanta game. Yep. So a lot of people had like kind of given up hope. Our saving grace, the two guys next to us were younger DC guys, but Commanders fans, they were going nuts. So like we had like a little bit in crowd. Third quarter, I could hear them talking. He's like, yeah, they got those like Cooper DeJean, Blankenship, like those two white guys on the defense. He's like, and these people, like they made a shirt that says exciting whites. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to show him. Like, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I turned and I was like, I have it on. I like whispered. I was like, I have it on right now. And I like showed him. He's like, oh, no way. Let me take a picture and send it to my friends. I was like, whew. Like at this point, I was afraid to touch anything. Like I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't drink. Like I grabbed a water bottle. Like I was just afraid to touch anything, as if I'd like break the soda can that I'd pick up, or like a hot dog that they're giving away.
And they would just know that you were an Eagles fan.
What?
And they would just know that you were an Eagles fan when you touched it. It would just turn green.
Exactly. Like I thought, like if for some reason, if I like touched a hot dog,
you were like the kid that they told everybody if you pee in the pool, it's going to turn blue.
That's it. That is the energy that I brought to the suite. It's just like I was so on edge. I didn't want to pick up the mustard because what if I got mustard on my jacket and then I had to take it off and show that I'm wearing this exciting white shirt? Everything hilarious. I did on eggshells. It was very funny.
I love it. I love it.
So all in all, great experience. Thank you to the Commanders and my good friend, Josh Harris, who I've never said anything bad about ever about any of his business ventures.
Never.
And everything was great except for the last 10 seconds of the game. And I 10 out of 10 would recommend it again. So I'm glad you're getting that experience for Disney on Ice.
It's gonna be a blast. All right. Let's put a bow on this in terms of Sunday, 1:00, CBS, 7th broadcast team will be broadcasting this game.
They should let us broadcast it.
They should
broadcast.
Cowboys playing for potential draft pick. Eagles
Travis Hunter
with the division on the line.
All right. I see this game going one of two ways. I think the Eagles in Kelly Green just kind of handled it. I feel a lot differently now that CeeDee Lamb is out. I was kind of worried when he was in that they actually like firepower matches really well and the defense has been playing really well. So I see this going one of two ways. The Eagles just win and it's over and we don't have to worry. Or it goes like 2022. Gardner Minshew played well against the Cowboys in his first start. He didn't play as well in his second start against the Saints. And we just needed like that final week to beat the Giants, win the division, lock everything up. And then just get Jalen Hurts healthy. So I could see it going like that again. So it goes one of two ways. I think they either come out and probably steamroll this team. The defense did not play that well last week. They get back on track. CeeDee Lamb's not there. So it's the same situation the Eagles are in. It's hard to press the ball down the field when you don't have the arms with the quarterback or the legs of the receiver to do it. So I could see it going one of two ways, and I hope it's the first way. I hope it's just a stress-free holiday Cowboys beatdown.
27-12. That's my guess. 4 field goals for Brandon Aubrey, no touchdowns for the Cowboys. Listen, they came out strong against the Bucs. They were physical, but that was literally the day that they got eliminated from the playoffs. I think now with CeeDee Lamb gone, they won that game. They're on the road. They're in Philly. I just, I think they're going to take their foot off the gas just enough to get rolled a little bit by a better team, a healthier team, even without their starting quarterback, with kind of everything on the line and coming off a horrendous last-second gut-wrenching loss last week. I think that fuels them into winning this game convincingly.
I do agree in the sense that, like, coming off that loss, I did like Vic Fangio's rhetoric this week where he said, when things like that happen, you don't chalk it up to like miscue, like it happened. Like one of those situations, like, oh, it was everything went wrong situation, just scrap it. Like, no, you learn from it no matter what. So I like that. So that leads me to believe that the defense could come back with some vengeance. It will, again, like, I believe in this team when they're all healthy, and I think they struggled last week because Josh Sweat was in and out. Jordan Davis was in and out. And Nakobe Dean was in and out. And I think they just struggled to find stability. And if everybody is there, they can kind of, pin their ears back and get the Cooper rush. I think they need to force turnovers. And I think there's a human psychology aspect that people realize it's your moment to step up. Like, you don't have your star player to go out and score you 35 points. You need to be able to play solid defense and all these other things. Special teams, like if we could get a touchback on a kick in this day and age, that would be A-okay with me. So yeah, I think there's like a human psychology aspect that the other 52 guys realize they need to elevate their game this week.
Well, we elevated our game today, coming off Christmas, middle of the day. Aidan's at his family's house. I got 2 kids crying in behind me that I can hear. So we elevated our games. I hope you all elevate yours in terms of not working, having a couple drinks. It's airport rules this week and this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, heading into the new year. Airport rules. Drink at any time. Eat whatever you want. There's cookies on the counter. That's the worst part about hosting a holiday, Aidan, is now all the shit is in my house. And every time I walk past, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's horrible. So enjoy it, though, everybody. Enjoy the lukewarm Birds vs. Boys hate week this week as well. Even though the game is not what we had hoped for when the schedule came out in this season, saying this could be the division on the line, everything, both teams had it's not that, but we're still going to watch it because we are sick, crazy psychos. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening here on the YouTube page, Birds vs. Boys. If you haven't yet, smash that subscribe button. Spotify video as well. We are in the top 25 of all Spotify videos. So we appreciate all of you out there. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, still around. Thank you. And make sure you're following us at Birds vs. Boys Pod on all of the socials. TikTok, before it goes away, maybe it's not going to go away. Aidan's going crazy on there, so make sure you're following us on there. Twitter and Instagram as well. Enjoy the rest of your holiday week, and we will be back after Lukewarm Hate Week.
Enjoy.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes. Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That is the team you promised me you were going to be this year. This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.